Welcome to Business, the Art of Winning. I'm William Farmer, Managing Director for Dale Carnegie Australia. Proud to be here, in fact, proud to be anywhere. Our topic today is about time management. You know, the thing that we use, sometimes we forget how valuable our time is. Sometimes we don't trade our time as well as we would like. Sponsored by the Dale Carnegie course, which will be run on the 17th, 18th, and 19th of November here in Brisbane. It'll probably be in person. Who knows? If it isn't, it'll be online. It'll be just as good. So let's talk about time management. Why is it so important that we trade our time well? Well, first of all, I spell time L-I-F-E. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why I've been saying it for the last decade, is to remind myself and also the participants that I get to coach, you know what? Every day you're giving is costing you your life. You're not going to get it back. And so often we just go through the motions, you know, Monday, Friday, Monday, Friday, Monday, Friday, Monday, Friday. What did I do last week? Well, I can't even remember what I ate last night because my mind gets really, really, really busy. We have a lot of different pressures. If you've got children, you've got your own pressures. You've got a partner, you've got other pressures. If you've got a business which you're trying to run effectively, you've got other pressures. Our mind and our emotions get very, very full. And often we forget just to smell the roses. We forget just to take time out to realize just how awesome this day is today. So that's the first thing that I have noticed about people who are very successful in managing their time. They trade well. They trade their time well. So if it's Monday, Friday, we might only have $1 for what we remember for that day. But yet if I turn up, now all of us have got $1 million days. Is that fair? Maybe $1 billion days. I have 4 children. I'm proud of all of them. And there's no money in this world that I would have traded for that experience of being their dad, seeing them born. Those are days that, you know, it's not about monetary value. It's about life value. It's trade of time. And we all have those days. But so often, if we think about what we're remembering or being present in the day, you might only give yourself $1 for the day, you know, because we're not there. So that's the first secret of time management is turn up. This is your life. It is not a dress rehearsal. We've all heard that. Life is not a dress rehearsal, okay? And we're not going to get out of it alive. So in this presence of who you are, do you remember, you know, being a teenager and let's think about, you know, 19, 20, 25, some of my audience, actually my demographics, 25 to 35. You're awesome right now. If you're listening and you're in that demographic, you are gorgeous. You are fantastically handsome. And the thing is that you've got to recognize where you're at, because one day you'll reflect back and you go, geez, I just didn't appreciate that moment. And that's one of the key things. I think if COVID hasn't taught us anything, it has taught us the value of being ourselves, learning to be free, appreciate things like social engagement, appreciate simple things like crowds. And sometimes, you know, we have to lose things before we really appreciate things. Isn't that crazy? So that's my first time management tip. Turn up to your own life. Next one is some practical things. Pareto's law, 80-20 law, which is, you know, 20% of the things that I do are highly productive. In fact, they probably create 80% of my wealth. Okay, 20% of my customers can generate 80% of my problems. 20% of my staff can generate 80% of my problems. 20% of my staff can be the highest producers, highest performers within the business. So that's some of the things to consider. Hey, where is my sweet spot? What is the best trade? One of my mentors that I've been following talked about, you know, making sure that a lot of the time that you will spend on things, you won't get paid for. You're doing it for free. But what happens in some of that time, you're going to hit a sweet spot where you know you're in that top 20%. You know that your time has been traded at that top 5%. And that's where you get maximum return. Now, what is maximum return? It's very relative. Maximum return can be financial. That's an easier measurement. Maximum return could be personal well-being, a feeling, spiritual, whatever it is. But you know what your maximum return is in the zone. And when you're in the zone, you know, it's gift, with action and, working through your well-being, which is that alignment process that we talked about in many of the other podcasts. So remember, think of your 20-80 rule. Are you in that 20% zone that generates 80% results? One of the other things to look at is actually how you use your time. Imagine that you had a magic bank book. I do actually have a magic bank book. Money goes in and money disappears without me knowing. Does anybody else have one of those bank books? Yep, everyone does, right? And let's imagine that you had $1,440 go into your magic bank book every single day, no effort. No effort by you. You'd love that, wouldn't you? Okay, yep. Now, obviously, banks always have terms and conditions. Hey, we're happy to give you that $1,440 every day, but a second after midnight, it'll disappear, okay, and it'll reappear, and you must use that money straight away. What would you do with the money? How would you spend it? Some of you would try and stash it. Okay, another rule is you can't stash, you have to use it. How would you treat that money? It's free anyway, right? Maybe you spend it on holidays. Maybe you'd use it to, build your business, whatever it is. And all of us have a magic bank book. It's 1,440 minutes every day that we are spending. How are we spending those, which is more valuable than $1,440, which may, obviously doesn't have the same buying power as it used to. The reality is, though, is how do we spend those minutes? How are we trading those minutes? Next is, hey, how do I prioritize my time? And so anybody here got a list? Some people that I work with or coach, they've got a list for their lists, and thank goodness for some of the technology and apps. There's some brilliant apps. A lot of my team use Airtable. It's a fantastic process that really gets their list. One of my, you'll meet Jordan, our producer, she loves ticking off her lists. Does anybody get a download of dopamine when you actually get to tick your list? I do. And what it does is it gives you that sense of achievement. Now, when I'm trading my days and I'm getting a little bit of a sense of achievement, then that's probably a good trade for me. Free drugs, which is, those endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, all those chemicals can be generated through us creating and also achieving. And so just getting those little ticks is fantastic. But here's a way of prioritizing your time more effectively. So, Stephen Covey talked about it in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. We actually been running this particular model since 1965 with Dale Carnegie, and it's things that are urgent and important. Okay, does anybody know who's got maybe tattooed on their head? Urgent and important. In other words, they don't move unless they are pressure prompted. In other words, there's a deadline and you've just gone past the deadline and you're rushing around to achieve whatever it is that you needed to achieve to meet that deadline. But, you could have done it earlier, but you needed to be pressure prompted. You needed to have anxiety and your adrenals fully flowing before you were motivated enough to knock it off. Now, look, I don't know about you, but in my past life, I've had urgent and important written on my head. I just put everything in that category. And, I think it came from when I was at school and, they had assignments and I just didn't want to do them. And so I would just train myself to procrastinate until that assignment was due. The next category is things that are important, but not urgent. And that's where our sweet spot is. That's in that top 20% if you really analyze it. So things that are important but not urgent, like planning, listening to podcasts that can improve your professional skills like today. So thank you if you're driving or listening to this information. You're working on things that are important for you, not urgent. What else is important but not urgent? Deadlines, okay, that you can manage. So in other words, it's important to get things done. It's not in the urgent stage. So you're not anxious about it because you've got control over it. So category 2 is the sweet spot. Things like discovering your own personal values, having time to see, the wood from the trees, really appreciating the day. These things are important, just not urgent. And then you have the next category, which can appear urgent, just not important. And a lot of us get our emails or texts from, a text from a company that appears, and the idea of those promotional texts that you may get on your phone is to look urgent, but when you analyze it, it's just not really important. Social media feeds that are in work time are massively costly to any organization because it appears urgent and it's just not important. The last category that you may have heard of is not urgent and not important. That's where we waste our time. We might be doing things that just make us feel good, but there's just nothing in it for anybody. And very rarely now do I see people in that category, but sometimes we can get caught up in that category thinking that we're working, but we're not in the zone. So what's that zone? 80-20, 20% of what you do will generate 80% of the results that you need. So one of the key things, a lot of people go, hey, well, I just never seem to have time. And I always go, well, that's a symptom. What's the cause? And what do you mean? Well, a symptom is I don't seem to have any time. A cause will be probably procrastination. Does anybody here procrastinate? Actually, there was a group of people that wanted to create a group around procrastination. They wanted to solve procrastination, but no one got around to it. And when you think about it, procrastination is that why part. What makes Joe go and Joe's so slow? Unless Joe knows why they're doing what they're doing, unless that why is so strong, they won't activate, they won't action. And so procrastination can hold most of us back. What's really stopping us? Sometimes it's an upper level thing. Sometimes it's just a laziness thing. Sometimes it's like, I just can't be bothered. And if you can't be bothered, what you're doing is you're saying to the universe, hey, it's sort of important, but it's not urgent. I'll get to it. And that's okay. If it's your conscious choice, then that's really okay. But if it's unconscious sabotage that's stopping you from achieving your goals, that's something from a business art of winning point of view to observe. So that's one of the key things. Procrastination. You know what the other one is? We all know it. It's planning. Okay. If you don't plan, you're not using your energy effectively. Imagine this, going into your boss and going, hey, boss, do you have a plan to be successful over the next 12 months? You'd expect them to, right? You'd expect them to have a plan. You'd expect them to have a financial plan. Why? Because that would give you safety and security, knowing that your position is safe within the business. But what about you? Do you have a plan? So it's okay for a business, but what about you? What's your plan? Do you have your goals written down, know where you're going, what you're trying to achieve over the next 12 months? And, a lot of people don't write their goals down because then they're already successful. So if you don't write your goals down, you're already winning. Now it's interesting because I will actually have a class of maybe 100 people and I'll throw this question down. I'll go, okay, please stand if you've got all your goals written down for the next 12 months in the different areas that are important to you. And you know what date that you're expecting to achieve those goals. I might get 2 or 3 people stand out of 100. 97% of the people don't stand because they have their goals in their head and in their heart. And that's most of us, and that's great. But what is the value of writing it down? The value is it's a consistent look at what you're trying to achieve. It's energy that's being focused and flowing. Look, there is a lot of research too around not setting goals. But the reality is too, it would be like me driving in my car without, GPS, trying to get to somewhere I've never been to, or not even carrying a map. And also because I'm a guy, this is not stereotyping, but I might not even ask for directions because, I want to go and hunt and find it. So my point is this. There are some smart tools that can allow us to make sure that we put that energy into place. So very quickly, I spell time, L-I-F-E, trade well. Next is turn up. Turn up to your day. Turn up to your kids' day. Turn up to your partner's day, okay? Because one day it won't be your day. In other words, you'll end and you'll move on to whatever it is that you think is on the other side for you. And it will be the end of your time. So make sure you really embrace your time. In fact, if you forget everything that I've just talked about on this podcast, just remember that. I'm trading days. I'm going to trade well. That's it. And then move into the 4 categories, important and urgent. All things that you do aren't important and urgent. You're going to create anxiety for yourself. There are some things in the zone, 80-20 rule. 20% of what you do really is urgent and important. Get that done straight away, okay? And make sure that you're in the zone. What is in the zone for me? Now, if I don't plan and plan my business or plan my life, I'm not going to know what the zone looks like for me. And I'm probably going to work more in that area of ethos, which is, hey, the zone of maybe non-productivity. But by clarity and really thinking about that top 20% that generates 80%, I'm going to be at least in the zone. Next one is don't procrastinate. Remember the procrastination club. Never got around to anything. In fact, I really like, one of my mentors was Zig Ziglar. And, for a lot of us, we can really struggle in getting a commitment from a client when we're selling. And he used to have a round card and he used to carry it around in his pocket. And this is how it worked. He would say, okay, Mr. Prospect, let's go ahead with the deal. It's going to work for you. It was right down to the close. And we hear a lot, well, when I get around to it, I'll probably move ahead there, Zig. And so he had this little card, and on the card, it had get around to it. And he says, well, here's your get around to it card. Shall we move ahead? And so get around to it. Whatever it is that's important to you, get around to it. Don't procrastinate. Do it now. And the next one is plan. Create that plan. We've got a question. So just I'll bring my producer in, Jordan. What's our question today, Jordan?
So our question today is, I often procrastinate throughout my day and then squeeze everything in the last minute. How can I be better at time management?
All right. Now, remember we talked about this in the business, the art of winning, of motivation, right? And we don't really move unless we're in enough pain. Pain is a huge motivator. All right. So the next one is pleasure, opportunity. So what happens often is that we forget the cost of being ordinary. We forget the cost of just being lukewarm. And the cost is what you could potentially create for yourself. So one of my techniques is think about, well, what if I had nothing? Now, I remember when I started out the business, I had nothing. I had the confidence of ignorance. And but I was like a lion, I just wanted to achieve. Often as you become more affluent and you start to achieve your goals, you just start to get a little bit lazy and a little bit secure. And so one of the things that I've learned to do is, okay, today's a new day. I'm at zero. Let's move. And that sort of pushes me to make every day a significant day and allow me to push it. So that would be my advice. Think of, hey, the costs of procrastination and also the benefit, the pleasure part of what you want. Now, what happens with the mind is because when we're in that lukewarm part, we don't actually have to do anything. So creating the pain, okay, if that's what motivates you, it doesn't motivate everyone, but motivates a lot of people, or the opportunity and make that really intense. That'll help you be motivated to doing the things that you want to do. So my name is William Farmer, Managing Director for Dale Carnegie Australia. And this webinar has been sponsored today podcast has been sponsored today by the Dale Carnegie course run on the 17th, 18th, and 19th of November in Brisbane. And I understand I've got a lot of followers from America. So we've got a great name. It's called Mooloolaba. Now, Mooloolaba is in the Sunshine Coast. Now, when COVID is gone and we're able to travel again, you should go to the Sunshine Coast. It's one of the most prettiest places in the world. And we'll be running our Dale Carnegie program on the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of November in Mooloolaba. Now, remember, the business of art of winning is all about you. And when you start to analyze what you want and why you want it, and put the actions into place, you'll always have time to be the most prosperous person you can be. Thank you. Enjoy your day.